Hey guys, I want to make a new video on what I perceive to be the new overpowered Ascendancy, and that is the Warden. So this Ascendancy is absolutely nuts. I'm only going to be talking about these four notables today. Other notables are also very strong. Tincture is kind of hard to say right now, but yeah, these four notables, elemental notables, are absolutely insane. And I want to go over why this Ascendancy is just completely nuts. I don't see that many people talking about it, as everyone is talking about melee. So the first thing is the Oath of Spring and the Tainment interaction. Now, I don't think this interaction will actually survive. I think they will nerf this, but it is absurdly overpowered if it does go live, to the point where I don't see why you'll play anything else but the Warden if this does make it. So what is the interaction? So Oath of Spring makes you to have 50 shocks instead of only one shock in the enemy, but maximum effective shock is 2% increase, so it's 100% increased damage taken instead of 50% increased damage taken on one shock. So the Tainment has this line where you get 20% increased damage on hits and ailments for a free shock or ignite on an enemy. Since you have 50 shocks on an enemy and you can quality this and you can use two Tainments, it's around 2400% increased damage, which is an absurd number, and this does work because we know it works with Emberwake. So yeah, this is absolutely an insane interaction. I don't think this is going to make it to live because 2400% increased damage is just, yeah, really not balanced. But anyway, not even talking about this team interaction, I don't think we'll make it live. It's not what I'm making this video for. Just this Ascendancy in general is absurd. So yeah, Oath of Spring, talk about this again. This is just 100% increased damage taken if you can get 50 shocks, which is not as hard as you think. So there's a few ways to do this. One way is just playing a fast hidden skill. For example, if you played Molten Strike and you click this node, this just doubles your damage with essentially no effort, along with like an LA damage Molten Strike build. And if you're not Molten Strike, if you're just a regular hidden build, you can use Defiled Forces and then use any Curse on Hit Ring or Curse Implicit Gloves, and it'll constantly refresh your shocks every time you hit the enemy, and you easily ramp up to 50 shocks, which is an easy 100% increased damage taken. This node is just really insane, and any build can use it as long as you can deal lightning damage and you can also shock. It's not that hard to actually use this node because of Defiled Forces. Next node is Oath of Summer I want to talk about. Also an insane node. Essentially, it just gives you Scorch, but you can inflict 2 Scorches instead of 1, so the enemy can have up to negative 60% elemental resist. Really insane. Usually as this side of the tree, you don't care for stuff like Scorch because you can use Inverted Res Mastery from the Elemental Mastery, but when you're doing negative 6% LA Res, it's a lot stronger than the Inverted Res that you can get from the Elemental Mastery. So yeah, getting 30% Scorch can be a little bit more challenging, but there are a few ways to cheese it. The first thing that comes to mind is Pain Seeker, although I'm not sure if you want to use Pain Seeker with this build, because then you wouldn't always be inflicting the shocks with your attacks every single hit. But yeah, even if it's only like 20%, and then you want to get to 40% all res with 2 Scorches, that is still very strong. Yeah, another damage multiplier right here. Then we have Oath of Winter. Oath of Winter is insanely strong from a defense standpoint, and also an offense standpoint, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, essentially, your freeze lasts for a minimum of 2 seconds. This is really good for mapping, even good on some bosses. It's guaranteed this 2-second freeze is really insane. And it has this other line where if you don't freeze the target, you'll apply Hoarfrost. So Hoarfrost is a new mechanic, and it can be applied an infinite number of times, and each stack gives 20% increased freeze duration on a target. So if you're not sure how freezing works, the more and more freeze duration you have, the better chance you have of freezing the target, because to freeze the target, you have to deal a percent number damage relative to the HP to freeze them. So if you have like 4% increased freeze duration, the damage you have to deal is a lot lower. So this pretty much guarantees freeze on any target in the game, as long as you hit them enough. So you probably actually want to be playing a fast hidden build, which also synergizes with Oath of Spring, as you want to be playing a fast hidden build with this as well. So yeah, this is just insane, whether for bossing or for mapping. You're just going to perma freeze everything. And in this patch, they also increased the speed reduction on Uber bosses to 50%. So before Uber bosses, you could only slow their action speed by 30%, and it's now 50%. And Oath of Winter honestly is very good for that, because when you freeze an Uber boss, they don't actually get frozen, but they do have the frozen tag applied, so all frozen effects work, and they will get max reduction of their action speed. So in this case, it would be 50% now. They're very strong defensively for mapping or bossing or whatever. Very strong. And then the last one is Avatar of the Wilds. Now this one, also very strong. This gives you up to 80% more elemental damage, but it has a essentially cooldown period, and you need to be a tri-elemental build to really make use of this. So yeah, how this works, you need 100 Unbound Fury, and you get 1 Unbound Fury every 0.2 seconds for each type of ailment. So you have Chill, Freeze, Shock, and Scorch. So it's 4 elements, which is essentially 20 Unbound Fury per second if you can always apply these elements every 0.2 seconds, which is pretty realistic while mapping. On a boss, less realistic. So yeah, while mapping, this will take 5 seconds to charge up, but then 80% more elemental damage for 10 seconds. Giving this a really high uptime around like 66%. So if you want to subtract that 66% from the 8% more elemental damage, this is looking something like 50 to 55% more elemental damage consistently on average, which is really strong for an Ascendancy notable. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I just want to make this quick video, as I think this Ascendancy is just absolutely absurd because it provides so much damage. In this Oath of Winter, this one defensive notable, this gives a lot of defense I usually don't have from other Ascendancies. And also because it is Raider, despite not having any move speed here, which does suck, you can just steal gather wins. So you get to steal anything good from Deadeye and anything good for Pathfinder. So yeah, being a Raider is very good when you have, Deadeye right next to you. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I might be leaks on this Ascendancy. I still have to do pops and stuff, but it's just absolutely absurd. So it's 100% increased damage taken from Oath of Spring, negative 60 all res, up to negative 60 all res from Oath of Summer, and then 80% more damage from Avatar of the Wilds, making this by far the highest damage generic Ascendancy in the game. Like for more precise stuff like accuracy stacking, sure, Jug's gonna be better, right? But just for a generic elemental damage Ascendancy, nothing beats this in the game. Not even comes close. It's just an insane amount of multipliers all coming together, while still on a very nice defensive notable in Oath of Winter. So yeah, that's about it.